Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money in the Law, my FM 101.3 and the Holliston Cable Access Television. With your host, Jay Marsden and John Droyan. We've been gone for, it seems like, 3 summers.
It seems like forever.
Yeah,
it seems like forever.
So due to some, traveling in the subcontinent and the Scandinavian tour that we did, we are now back full throttle and right at the culmination of summer, the end of summer. We're a couple days away from it. School's about to start. The fall is almost here. I thought I saw a leaf turning, so we're back, and we're back full force. Jay, how you doing?
Good morning, my friend. So it's so funny. A friend of mine the other day who shares my undying love for summer almost as much as I do.
Almost.
She sent me an email the other day, and she was a little surly because she had gone into some store. I don't know what it was. And, they were clearly moving. They were clearly in the expand the pumpkin spice section, as they move into the fall. And so she referred to it as, we just moved into summer hospice.
Right. Right. Which is, nothing funny about hospice, but that's right.
But that's exactly what it is.
It's done.
Yep.
It's done.
Yep.
It's done. And so as many of you know, we're taping today on Wednesday, and it's like 500 degrees outside, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like it feels like summer's going away, but it's almost like the little man that lives behind my head is saying, it's almost done. It's over. Like get ready.
It's getting close.
Get your head around
close.
it.
If you got anything to get to, smoke them if you got them. Smoke them if you got them. Yep.
And the problem is that because you at least with me, I spent all this time trying to wish away summer going away, wish away that I didn't have to actually start fall. That September sneaks up on you, and then before you know it, because September moves so fast, September's gone.
Not only does September sneak up on you, but I think there's a legitimate mental shift, right? I mean, because all of a sudden
it's back to work.
There's back to work if you've been kind of there's more attention being paid at work, right? There's actually more work being done. There's a mindset shift because now those yellow things carrying all those little people are zipping all over the place. There's that challenge. I mean, it becomes very routinized very fast, right? You go from the lazy lollygag your way through the month of August days to a hard stop, and it is over.
And you know where you see that? I mean, you see it during the work week and the school week, but you see it on the weekends, right? Now on the weekends, we have something to do. Like you said, if you have younger kids, but oftentimes the town sports are happening on the weekends.
I was driving today, and they were putting some soccer kids on the field over at Weston Pond, and I'm like, wait, what is that all
about? Why are we having
it's,
soccer practice?
It's 80 today. Isn't it still
day.
August? Isn't it still
game
August?
Time,
yeah.
So so we have that to look forward to, which is it's great, and it's good to get back to work, and it's good to get back to school. I mean, with luck, if school can kind of work itself out, so it's it's somewhat some phase of normal, that will be great. But I don't know. Again, this summer was one of those strange summers with kind of COVID going away, and then COVID kind of knocking on its door to come back a little bit. And
it rained for 31 days in July.
And it rained all for most of that month, and then before you know it, it's done.
Yeah.
And so it was a great summer, and I imagine that you had a great summer with especially we get to spend some time down the beach as well. But as everybody always says, you blink your eye and it goes by. And it's done.
Yeah, it's New England, right? So it's a quick season. And look, I get that September. Everybody says, September's a great. Yeah, I get it. September's a great season. But September is kind of when you move back into September's a great. The weather's great, and I get it. But again, your time's not necessarily your own because you've got other competing interests.
It's not summer. It's not summer. So everybody romanticizes. The summer of 21, the summer of 69, the summer like that. We were there all summer. We spent that whole summer together. You kind of talk about summer as this as this kind of this entity, and it's like this time period. Like, did you do that? Yeah, we did that for the whole summer. It seems it's made out to be like a long time, but as you know, it's like 10 weeks, and then boom, 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 it's done. It starts.
It seems long in your head. In your head, it goes on forever.
In your mind, it does, right?
But then you forget. But you know what happens too? It starts so early, but you kind of get this fake out, right? Because it starts Memorial Day, but you really get another 3 or 4 weeks, maybe, depending on how it falls, before the kids even get out. So you get a 4 week. It's almost like diet summer, summer light, right? It's like it's here on the calendar, but
just
it really
one calorie.
hasn't happened yet. That's right. That's right. And then when they
Not
get out,
summer enough.
No, that's right. And then when they get out, it's like, wait, it's 4th of July already? What happened? And then of course that was a bust, and so here we are. But it's all good. It's all good. First world problems.
June is the Diet Coke of summer. I'm going to write that one down.
That's right.
Just one summer.
Could be the Pepsi free. Pepsi free is summer. That's right. That's right.
All right. So there you go. That's what we talked about the weather, which we always do.
Which we're obsessed with.
Well, of course, we mentioned earlier that we are joined, of course, with Holliston Cable Access TV, and our man Christian Bidet is here. Christian is, and Christian always wears his uniform. You ever notice he's always in uniform.
He does look good, right?
Good job, Bruce Guilfoyle, dressing him up, or Lisa probably cleans you up before you get rolling. And she gives you like the kind
of pulls things off the shirts. That's right. Checks a button.
Little sign of the cross.
Checks a button. Make sure he's not getting too racy over there. Button it up.
That's right. Christian's always buttoning.
It's a family show.
So it's good. It's good. We have, and it's always good to be seen by Holliston Cable Access TV.
Always.
Like we were saying, it's summer's coming to the end. Everything's about to get back to work. I mean, I'm sure that there's some really interesting things going on in the estate planning and legal world.
Always.
We've said this time and time again. This is the time, when kind of coming out off the summer, call it a holiday. People start to get focused now. This is one of those time periods where people are like, all right, because the holidays aren't here yet, but I kind of start paying attention to things. So especially with the back to school, and a lot of people, they have kids that are going to college, so there's the whole college thing. And they start to really say, okay, I probably should get organized a little bit. You kind of feel that, again, the little voice behind your head says, you might want to start getting organized. So we start to get organized. And, for that month of September, if you can keep up with it, and October. And
there's some boxes getting checked between now and Thanksgiving.
Everybody's kind of got their fall punch list that they'd like to see happen. And because they don't want to think about the holidays. They don't want to think about, because that's, Christmas, that's far away. And, before you know it, it's not far away.
Stop. Don't get too fat on that path. But yeah, you're right. We've said this all the time. There's these chunks of time where people are actually willing to kind of check some things and cross them off our list. And this is one of those windows. Post Labor Day, first couple of weeks after September, everybody kind of gets back into a routine, and then there's let's get some stuff done. This is one of those.
There's a lot of things to do.
Yes,
there's a lot of things. So what is it? Do you have anything there's to do in the legal world?
Well, actually, you know what I was going to talk about today, and we'll go to a break in a couple of minutes, and then we'll talk about it. But it has been a rollicking busy season on the real estate side.
Right.
And for those of you who don't know this, our practice specializes in estate planning, elder law, probate, Medicaid, and real estate from the sell side perspective. We don't work for any banks. We don't get, we don't do title work for anybody. We basically help our clients who either are interested in selling their own home or who have inherited a home and need to sell the property. That's our side of that transaction, and it has been busy. Busy. Where everybody's going, I don't know. I have a guess.
They're going nowhere.
I think a lot of them are going somewhere. A lot of them are taking advantage of low rates in the crazy market, and so we've done a fair amount of transactions on the sell side. And so what I thought today I would do, at least, and if we're certainly welcome to jump in on this, because I know you're part of it, right, is to discuss what that process looks like and the things that you need to think about as the seller of your home to help this transaction go as smoothly as possible.
That's great. Because I had some interesting ideas on that as well. As I again. Real estate's one of these things. It's a hot commodity right now, especially in some of these areas like our area. Some of the municipality areas. I mean, in many places, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's really one of those. And I can't really remember a time in the last at least 20 years where you've seen the real estate market skyrocket as much as it has.
Oh, and some of the deals that we've done for people when they come in, they say, look, this is what we got over asking, right? And fill in some astronomically insane number, right? And then, the joke has been, well, you can never come down, you can always go up. And so people come in, they throw a number out there, and then they're getting offers above and beyond that. and they're getting no contingencies. I just want to get the deal done. I just want to buy the house. So that's what we've been focusing on, and it's been going on a lot.
All right, so let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back and dive deep into this, because this is a fascinating topic, and then people out there may be wanting to listen, because they may have crossed their mind.
Might be thinking about it.
All right,
want to know what's involved.
We'll be right back on Money in the Law, My FM 101.3, Holliston Cable Access. Jay, I'm John. He's Jay. Jay and John. We both start with Jay.
Similar.
We'll be right back.
And we're back. My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden, John Drohan. Money in the Law. Christian steering us through the cosmos. We're off of our vacation hiatus. We take a very European approach to the month of August here, which means we try not to do a whole heck of a lot as we go on holiday.
I tried to do stuff.
Yep.
I try.
So today's topic is you're selling your house, and you're trying to figure out what to do. So first thing you want to think about, first thing you want to keep in mind is you got to put it on the market. Either sell it yourself, you got to sell it through a broker, whatever you're going to do. And so you're going to get an offer. And so what most people do is they don't have anybody lined up to help them out with this part of the project. They don't have an attorney, they're using a broker, and they get an offer. And the offer is...
So wait, is the house on the market already?
House is on the market. House is on the market. Hasn't been on long, it's on the market.
So the decision has been made to like... Because I always like to... I want to know, like, why? Like, why are you selling your house?
Your kids are out of the house
whatever
now.
Whatever the reason.
Yeah, that's right.
So
it's too big now. It's time to move on, and you're moving to the Cape.
I guess the only thing I'd say to that is make sure you're selling it for the right reason, right?
Yeah.
Because you can... oftentimes we've seen clients who are like, yeah, I'm going to sell... They kind of get talked, they listen to a show like this and say, oh my God, the real estate prices are through the roof. And
Jay John said, sell the house.
Everybody whispering, or like up around the corner from us, it seemed like 5 houses all got sold. Where I even said, I went to one of the guys, I'm like, everybody's selling their house. I go, am I missing something? Is there like some kind of nuclear power plant going in around here?
Did I not know
He's
something?
like, not that I know of, right?
Yeah.
So we always say, like, make sure you're selling it for the right reason, not selling it for the sake of selling it, or because, hey, you know what, I can get a good deal on it now.
Well, I mean, if you're selling it, remember, you got to go somewhere. Right?
So, we were joking about that, but you're right. Yeah.
So if you're selling your house because you think this is the time to get out of your house, and you don't have a soft landing of where you're going to go,
or you think you do, I'm going to live with my son.
That's right. And guess what? And so remember, you're one side of a transaction. So if you think like, hey, we're going to sell this, we're going to make a killing, great. Where are we going to go? Yeah. Oh, what do you mean? Well, we're going to go somewhere. So we're going to buy someplace.
We're downsizing.
Right? Now we're on the other side of that transaction, right? So guess what's happening on that side, right? You're now the people that you're trying to buy and sell a house to. So remember, this is a two-way street. So if you're not going somewhere, or if you don't have a place already lined up, a second place down the Cape, you see a lot of that stuff, you got to think about it, right? And you got to line up. And here's why, by the way, here's why it's important. Because trying to coordinate both of those transactions,
that's tricky.
You want to talk about stress? Like when this whole thing comes together, it takes about 60 days, right? 2 months, right? You get the offer, you accept the offer, and usually the way that the pipeline works out is within 60 days, this transaction is going to be consummated, right? So you got to have your house emptied, you got to have all your stuff taken out of there, you got to have movers lined up, you got to have your furniture go somewhere, and if you don't have another place to go, the people who are buying your house, don't take this the wrong way, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
All right? Because they left somewhere, and you know what?
Their stuff is in storage right now.
Well, that's right. And they have a place to go, and their place that they're going to go, it's your house. It's your house. That's where they're going, right? So if you say, well, they'll give us a couple of more days, they won't give you a couple of more days, all right? Yeah. This is a transaction that kind of comes together, but it comes together like it's like sailing. It's 90% boredom and it's 10% terror, right? Yep. That when you get close to the finish line, things get a little wacky. Yeah. And so the way this whole thing starts is, to John's point, you make the decision that you're going to sell. Hopefully you're going somewhere. Hopefully you know where you're going. Let's assume for purposes of this discussion that you do, that you have a plan, right? Have a plan, right? So you make the decision to sell, you hire the broker does all the work, they take all the pictures, they make it look like Shangri-La, and then you throw the sign out and you have an open house, and like things have gone lately, you get 7 offers, right?
Your house is on the market for 45 minutes.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And you get 7 or 8 offers, whatever it is, and you pick through the offers, and the broker will help you figure out, which offer is the best. And what you see with some of these offers that kind of come your way is things like, it's a cash deal, right? Like no questions asked. We don't have to get mortgage financing. We're just going to come in and write a big check. Those are obviously the easiest if they have the cash.
Those are fun.
Those are fun, right? But then the other things are, they take away all the contingencies, right? Like sometimes they'll make an offer that says, hey, we want to buy your house, but we want to make sure we can sell our house first. And then you're kind of tied to their deal, which you may not want to be. The person that comes in behind them says, look, we'll just buy it. We'll take the risk of our property. We don't care about you. You know, that's easier for you. You know, this is kind of what this whole...
And that's where the market is right now.
Yeah.
Like where I could, you know, when you bought your house and I bought my house, I mean, you know, my attorney, my advising attorney or my real estate broker was like, whoa, 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 you're not signing nothing until all, you know, this punch list, all these criteria is met.
Right.
Like, oh, it passes the inspection and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that there's, you know, my other house is sold and blah, blah, you know, all of those contingencies were now, because the market is so hot and because there are people out there that
Right.
have a big checkbook that says I can pay for this, or I can write you a check right now. Why do you want to? Why would you want to mess around with something that potentially could fall through, whether it's your fault or somebody else's fault or whatever? So, because the market's so hot now, yeah, it's almost like you can't if you're serious about it, and that's the whole thing. Like if someone's serious about buying property. You need to come ready to play ball.
Oh yeah,
you know. And
yeah.
we're gonna talk about this about how like now, like as a seller, when in the old days, houses would sit on the market for, again, it has to be priced correctly.
Sure.
It has to be kind of in the, and people can put, you can sell any. I can sell my house for $10 million. It's not like I'm going to get any offers for that, right?
That's right.
But now, because again, particularly because these areas, like whether they're vacation areas or even like areas around here, areas that are close to municipalities or areas that are actually in cities, like
sure.
Look at Boston or New York itself. Things are it's so competitive, and people want to get there so desperately. And I think there's a lot of people out there that have money. Right,
yeah.
they have and again, we've kind of coming out of the whole post-COVID. Like one of the big things is that like the people that didn't have a lot of money,
sure,
they're right where they are. They still don't have a lot of money because of their employment being affected by COVID. But then there's people that didn't get affected by this at all.
That's right.
And if anything, they saved a ton of money because of not going on vacation, because of
not going out to dinner 5 nights a week, not doing all that stuff.
Right, and or not being able, or not having the same kind of expenses, like the same kind of,
no commuting costs. You're not buying dinner in town 5 days a week. All that stuff. Yeah.
And maybe their company like saved money because people got late. All for whatever reason. There's some people that are sitting on a ton of cash.
Yeah.
And they're also, especially in like in the vacation market,
sure.
They're like, hey, what are we waiting for? Like, why am I gonna? We've always talked about potentially buying a summer home or a vacation home, and we have the money. What are we waiting for?
Oh, they have friends who had a vacation home, and they saw that the vacation home was a real kind of an outlet for them to get out of here, and they don't know what COVID's going to bring, and they go, look, to your point, we've talked about doing it. What are we waiting for? Let's do it, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot going on.
All right, so house is on the market. I get my offers.
You get your offer, so you're going to figure out which one you're going to accept, right? That's between you and the broker and the conditions and the contingencies, and there's a whole bunch of things that kind of fit into that. Let the broker kind of guide you through that. Let them kind of help you, scroll through the offers and see what happens. But the key to keep in mind is, ideally, get an attorney lined up sort of in advance or right as you get right to the beginning of this process. Because what's going to happen is when you get your offer and you accept the offer, that basically turns on a lot of deadlines, right? So when you accept the offer, it's going to say, great, per the offer, we're going to have a purchase and sale signed by a week from now, for example, or 10 days from now, for example. So you go from the offer to the purchase and sale. The offer is usually pretty bare bones. It lays out, whether there's going to be mortgage financing, what the date of the closing is going to be, how much you're going to pay for the house, and then there's going to be some other things in there. We're taking the gas grill, we're taking the washer dryer, we're not taking the washer dryer. There's some other ancillary stuff in there. But the offer is the offer. And in many cases, the offer, when you accept the offer, you're selling a house, right? You have a deal. And
it's game time. Yeah.
If you change your mind, the buyers could kind of put you to it and say, no, you accepted my offer. We're on, right? We're on. So some of this is going to be contingent on getting the next step in place, which is the purchase and sale. Now, as the person who gets these calls, and that's why I'm suggesting you try to line this up early, here's what we don't like, okay? Just for those of you out there who are beginning to traverse this part of the process.
Warm beer.
This is stressful. Here's what we don't like. We don't like this phone call. Hi, how you doing? Yeah, I was on your website, and I know that you guys do real estate, and I accepted an offer on a house, and I have a purchase and sale that needs to be done and signed by tomorrow. Can you help me out? Okay, because the answer to that is, hello, click, no. You have made a decision to sell your house. You're going to call somebody Probably not me after that comment right there. But you're going to call somebody, and that person's going to say, yes, we can help you out.
The only advice I give Jay at that point is maybe just for the sake of argument, ask their name, right? I'm sorry, and who is this? Yeah, my name is Bruce Springsteen. Oh,
Mr. Springsteen, different story. Well, we only have an hour, so I'm trying to kind of move it along here. But this happens all the time, right? You've decided to do this, and then you sort of lollygag your way to this next part. And this is the important part, right? Getting the purchase and sale locked down, because this is where more of the details of the deal are going to come together. And when you start calling attorneys the day before your purchase and sale is due to be signed, you go into the queue or you pay a lot more money because they have to drop everything to dedicate all their time to this part of the transaction.
Well, here you go. And this is how this problem is alleviated or solved. Is your real estate broker who just sold your house, who's getting paid for this.
Sure.
This is where they say, guess what? Here's what has to happen now. And because they do, unlike you don't sell your house every, 6 months or every year or every.
Right. You don't sell 50 houses a year.
This is like so people they're unfamiliar with this, right? So that's why you have a real estate agent.
And they're going to ask you, do you have an attorney to handle the closing? And your answer is going to be either yes, I do. They know it's coming, and when the offer is signed, send it to them, or you're going to say no, I don't, and they're hopefully going to say, to John's point,
here we go.
Here's the person that you should talk to. And then when we get phone calls that say, hey, we have our house on the market, we're going to get ready, we're probably going to get an open house this weekend, we might get some offers, and we tell them, when you get the offer, send it to us, and we will spring it to action, because it will tell us right on that offer, it'll tell us right on the offer, when's the purchase and sale need to be signed. And the reason that that's important is there's some back and forth. The buyers have an attorney, you have an attorney. I'm going to draft the purchase and sale and send it to the buyer's attorney, and he's not sitting there hitting refresh on his inbox. He's probably got a handful of deals in the hopper, so you're in the queue over there too. So it takes a little bit of time for some back and forth to get worked out to pull this part of the deal together, and this is really the meat and potatoes. You sign your purchase and sale, you're selling a house, right? And the buyers have put up some money. They're usually putting up 5% of the purchase price. Yeah. And here in Massachusetts, 5% of a purchase price on a house is a pretty hefty chunk of change.
Real money.
So you're gonna work that out. So just my suggestion to you is, don't make it more stressful, because then when you start calling and saying, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is it done yet? That's challenging and frustrating, because there needs to be a window of time to kind of work this stuff out. Unfortunately, everyone's not just sitting around, waiting for something to happen. So when it happens, we want to do it, and we want to have it on the glide path that gets it done in the least, because you're going to want to take some time to review everything and look everything over yourself, and have a conversation and make sure you understand what you're agreeing to, make sure what they understand they're agreeing to. We had a situation recently where the ink wasn't even dry on the purchase and sale, and all of a sudden they were complaining about the conditions in the purchase and sale. I said, we just agreed to this yesterday.
Got to read it.
What do you mean? What do you mean
Yeah.
you're not going to let them do this stuff? So, remember, there's some back and forth. You want to make that part of the deal right, because it's 60 days. 60 days for the most part, and then you're out, right? So you want to make sure you kind of get this part right, and everybody knows what's going, what's staying, and all that piece of it. So that's the purchase and sale part of it. And again, there's some back and forth. Give everybody some lead time. Because
so the point is that you gotta let's have some space, have some, and because this is a big deal. Like for many people, this is a big event.
Oh,
right?
It's stressful. It's stressful. You're selling a house. You're saying, where are we going to go? What are we doing? How are we getting all our stuff out of here?
Yeah, and so so there's a lot of moving parts, but it's also, it could be kind of this life event where let's say you're selling the house that that you lived in for 30 years.
Oh, it's emotional.
This
is
yes,
you raise your kids there.
This is a big thing.
Yep.
So you don't want to get hung up on things that on a technicality or some disagreement or something that you didn't really understand, because that's going to make the whole. I mean, the process is going to be it's going to be emotional and take your energy as much as as it is. But being able to kind of alleviate some of the stress with all the other stuff is, if you give yourself enough time and give your attorney, give your real estate agent, if you're the seller, the buying attorney, you give yourself enough space to be able to understand everything that's going on, and then
because there's a big there's always a big push to get the deal done.
Yeah,
right? Everyone's pushing to get we got to get that signed. We got to get that signed.
The realtor wants to get it done because he's going to get paid.
Absolutely
right.
Get paid, right? You want to get it done because you want to lock down the price that you got out that's an extravagantly outrageous price over what you asked for. So yes, you want to get it all done, but we want to slow walk this thing through the process. We want to keep making progress, but you don't want to just throw this against the wall and hope it sticks, right? So because once you sign the purchase and sale, then there's going to be things that you have to do, and then there's going to be things that the buyer's attorney has to do. Because remember, there's a bank out there that's getting ready to write a $600,000 or a $700,000 check, and they have to do their due diligence through that 60 days. Well, everybody thinks nothing's happening. On the sell side, you're organizing movers. You're getting all your junk cleaned out. You're finding a place to where you're going to donate the stuff that you want to get rid of, and you're making ready to transition into your new place, right? The buyers are getting all their financing lined up. They're getting all the questions answered by the mortgage company. They're emptying out their place. So you're both doing the same thing. You're just doing it, miles apart with the idea that you're going to kind of meet together in 60 days and it's all going to go smoothly. So you need to understand what's coming up. So the rush to the offer, get the offer, that's great. Make sure you give enough lead time on the purchase and sale so that doesn't turn into, a rock fight. You want to be able to make that happen in the time frame that's supposed to happen. And then you sign the purchase and sale. You're selling a house now. It's happening. It's real. It's real. Right?
Who does the purchase and sale?
The seller's attorney usually is the one that drafts the purchase and sale and sends it to the buyer's attorney. So when you sign a purchase and sale, when you sign an offer that says, we'll have a purchase and sale signed in 7 days, and you spend 4 of those days waiting to call somebody, it just makes that more.
This is that call Jay wants to get a little sooner rather than later.
Yeah. So I'm just letting you know when it happens, and then everybody says, hurry, let me put it this way: your lack of planning is not my emergency. That's how we say it. All right. So yes, we'll get it done. But again.
And Mr. Springsteen says, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll go find another attorney that has."
And depending on my mood that day, I might say, Bruce, probably the best idea for you.
I want to be in the room when that happens.
Bruce, maybe you better keep on walking down Thunder Road and see if you find yourself another.
That's right. Go down. There's got to be a New Jersey Asbury Park guy.
Look, I wasn't born to run around for you all day long. I mean, we could do this all forever.
We can do all day long. You're walking in a jungle.
Look, and by the way, when you go find another attorney, there's probably going to be some darkness on that edge of town because they're not going to be as good as us.
That's right.
I know you're busy.
But when you turn the lights on, try not to don't squint too much. You want to be blinded by that light.
That's exactly right.
Here we go. We're going to take a quick break on a little Springsteen spiel that we just went on. We'll be right back. Like we said, we can go all day. We'll be right back on Money in the Law.
And we're back. Money in the Law, MyFM 101.3. Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group. John Droham, Main Effort Financial. Christian at the helm. And we're sailing through the waters of selling your house and what you're responsible for and how you can go to great lengths to make it less stressful for you and your family and the other people who are involved in the transaction, and more importantly, the lawyer who's handling the transaction on your behalf.
Most importantly, keep your lawyer happy.
That's right. So now that you've signed off, right? You've in blood, you've signed the purchase and sale. You're getting out of the house. What we tend to do at the office is then hand you what we call our seller's information letter. Okay, this is basically your homework. All right, you're selling a house, you've signed a purchase and sale. We hand you this checklist and say, okay, great. Now, over the course of the next 60 days, this is what you have to do. Now, whether it's you, whether it's your broker, these are your responsibilities as the seller of the house, right? We'll draft the deed. We'll work on coordinating the sale between the buyers and the sellers and the closing work. We'll pull that stuff together, but you have some more work to do. Now, I stress this not to be a wise guy. I stress this because this is the stuff that if it gets, some of this stuff is not stuff that you can just walk up to a window and say, can I have this? Some of this stuff really involves scheduling. And as we talked about at the beginning of the show, when the market's this kooky, again, not everybody is sort of jumping to it because you need something done. You're going to try to get something done, and someone's going to say, yeah, well, this is how we do that, and this is when I can schedule it. So when you get your seller's information list, these are the things that you are going to want to make sure you get done.
Is this the seller's information
list? That's it, right there.
We have an actual authentic.
It's an actual. I'm not making this up.
A real seller's information list.
We have a
right here in the studio.
Legit, right?
Yeah. All right. So what do we got?
So one of the things that you want to schedule doesn't sound like a big deal, but it can be a real problem. When you sell your house, you need to get a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide certificate on that property issued by the fire department. Okay?
Call the FD.
They're good for 60 days, but remember scheduling, right? when you call the fire department, there's not a bunch of people sitting around playing poker waiting for the phone call.
Actually, that's not true. Right?
It's kind of true. That's kind of true.
It's probably true.
Yeah, that's right. It's somewhat. Well,
my old man was a fireman.
My uncle was a firefighter. He'd say,
right? He'd say, well, maybe we're not playing poker. We might be sleeping.
We're playing hearts.
We just ate. Yeah, right.
That's right. That's right. Poker.
So cribbage.
But the answer is you have to schedule this, and because the fire department is busy because they're doing all these other smoke inspections, you want to get this on the calendar. You can't walk up the day before the closing and say, I didn't get my smoke cert done. Can you get me on the books, right? Yeah, that's right. They're going to say, yeah, we'll get you done in a couple. And you need it for the closing. You have to have it for the closing. So that's something. Now, whether you get that done or your broker gets that done, that's up to you guys. You guys hammer that out. Here's who doesn't get it done. Me, the attorney. The attorney's going to say, this is your responsibility. You guys need to schedule this.
I got other things to do. I'm working on the title. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, they have to come to the house. Somebody has to be there. They're going to walk you through the whole thing. So you want to just get that scheduled sooner rather than later. Okay, just do yourself.
That's not lawyer work.
Do yourself the favor.
Yeah, no,
right?
That's not legal work.
You need to get a final reading of the water and sewer numbers for your property as close as possible to the closing date. Now, think about it this way: someone's buying your house. When they buy your house, they don't want there to be an outstanding bill for water that they didn't use.
Yep.
They want to start the slate clean, right? And the reason that getting a final reading that says that the water bill has been paid and there's no outstanding bill is because these bills follow the property, right? It's not like a credit card where it follows you once you walk out the door. If you don't pay the water bill and nobody picks up on it and the new owners move in, they're going to get a bill from the town that says 123 Elm Street owes us $200 for water. And they're not going to be happy because they're going to say, I didn't use that water and I don't know why I'm paying for it. And they're going to come looking for you. And so you need to hand them over a 0 meter that says everything's been paid and everything's been taken care of. Now, this is a big one, all right? So if you're going to write something down, write this down. If you are on a septic system, you need to have a Title V,
the big 5
certification.
Right?
That's right. That's right.
Roman
They come out, they look at it, and they go, guess what? You are actually correctly and accurately processing human waste into the backyard.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Nice job.
Congratulations.
Nice
Good job.
Great job at the Riddex, right?
Pooping in your backyard. There you go. Yeah.
That's a big one. And the reason that's a big one is because
it's a showstopper.
It's a showstopper. First of all, it's expensive. You can't get your septic done. If you have to get your septic repaired, which is almost like a win, right? Like, oh, I just have to get it repaired. Ideally, it passes inspection. Going to make arrangements with the local Title V inspection company to come out and check it all out. They will give you a Title V certificate that says you passed. That's the key to get this whole thing done. If they don't give you one of those things and it needs to be a repair, then that's great. They'll make the repair. If it needs to be a replacement, which is painful, it's a $30,000-ish ticket. And that triggers a whole bunch of other things that have to happen.
Right.
A system has to potentially be redesigned or designed anew by the engineer. The engineer has to produce those plans and give them to the town so that the Board of Health can review the plans. And if you're using somebody local and they know the process really well, then that's great. They'll be able to shepherd you through the process. But now you're working on a schedule. The schedule is the engineer's schedule. And of course, they're busy because they're doing 6 of these systems right now. They got to make arrangements with the installer who's actually going to put the system in. So they're going to make sure that those schedules line up. Oh, and on top of that, they're going to deal with whatever the schedule is for the Board of Health, who's going to approve and sign off on all of this.
So wait a minute. Let me ask you this. So if I know I'm going to sell my house, right?
Yes.
And I mean, we've decided.
You've made the decision, yes.
And we have a septic system.
Yes.
Might it not be in my best interest to get a Title V inspection before I go through the whole and put it on the list? Why would it
be still my beating heart?
I mean, might it just in the unfortunate case that I have to replace my septic?
That's right. That's right.
Because then that could change everything. That could change. That could change how much I'm going to ask for my house. Right? It could potentially it affects all your numbers. If you have a $30,000 bill, and then if this has happened kind of post purchase and sale agreement, like, oh, by the way, you need to replace your septic, and we agreed to a 60-day window to have the transaction complete.
Yeah.
That makes things really hard.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This is something that I completely agree with John. You want this box checked before you even decide that you're going to sell your house. Because, by the way, once your septic fails, you don't just get to take it off the market. You still got to replace it, right? So you really got to be ready. And depending on how this whole transaction works, and depending on what your financial situation looks like, sometimes the people who are doing all that work might agree to take their money at the end of the deal when the house gets sold and you get your money. But not everybody. A lot of people want their money up front, and you're going to come up with 30 grand, which you may or may not have laying around, to actually get this process going. And then in addition to the process of just doing the septic system and dealing with the Board of Health, you might end up with some conservation issues. You might have to deal with some water issues. You might have some wetlands in the back of your house that you might not have had 30 years ago. And so, you're going to have to start coordinating multiple departments, and these multiple departments need to coordinate with multiple boards, and the boards don't always meet on a regular basis. So if you need things to be certified and signed off on, and they say to you, well, the Conservation Commission only meets on Thursdays, in months that end in Y, you're going to figure out, like, well, how am I going to do that? When can I pull that together? I need this done tomorrow. And that's the answer.
It's not going to happen.
The answer is good luck. You're not going to get that.
It's not happening.
And then the other thing is, and you need to make sure you're crystal clear with your Title V folks and the people who put your system in as to what all the permits and the documentation that you're going to need. Because, what you don't want to happen is you think you have all the documentation you need, and we're 3 days out from the closing, and we find out that we need this other thing, and that thing isn't going to get scheduled to be either reviewed or signed off on for 10 days or 15 days, and we either have to push the closing, which can be a real problem, because remember, somebody's got some movers coming, somebody's trying to get some people in a house, people out of a house, or they're going to hold back some money, which might not be the end of the world, but some people don't want to do a holdback. Some people just want the transaction over and done. So you got to remember, you got to think about that, and you got to do other things. Like when the septic gets replaced, they got to put everything back the way it was. They got to sod the whole thing. They got to put grass down. I mean, it's way more involved than just, I'll take care of that. So if you do anything, just get that thing out of the way.
Get it checked first. And most of the time it's good, right? Most of the time
it goes without a hitch. But I'm saying it.
Maybe a repair, maybe there's something that needs to get better. Most of the time, unless you're my old man who for 30 years when we were living in Connecticut, he would say that his septic was failing, right? Even though it was fine, right? He'd say, don't leave that, don't take a shower. My septic, don't flush that toilet.
Use the hose outside.
Exactly. Yeah. So unless you got my old man's septic, your septic's probably okay.
Didn't even know what a septic system was till I moved out here. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Everything goes in the backyard.
Wait a minute.
It doesn't go in the harbor.
That's disgusting.
Doesn't go in the harbor. It goes right in the back. Where do I dump all this paint?
Right. Exactly.
So
I'm putting it in my backyard.
So the Title V, just get in front of. If you're going to get in front of anything, get in front of this thing. It's nice to have the certificate. It's nice to know it passed. It makes your life 10,000 times easier. Okay. So we will do the deed. So we will not that deed. We will prepare a deed for the house and send it over to the buyer's attorney. They'll review it. They'll sign off on it. Now, what we have found recently in the last, let's say, 8 or 9 months or so, is that the days of everybody going to the office or going to the registry and sitting around and
that's so fun.
Talking about how the bedroom used to be a kid's playroom and the back door jiggled the handle if it sticks and ha and congratulations. It doesn't happen anymore, right? It doesn't happen because of COVID.
There's not like this big happy handoff.
No, it's not like on Lifetime TV. No. Basically, what we try to do is we have you come into the office a week or so before the closing and sign the documents that you need to sign, the deed, some other documents. Those go over to the buyer's attorney. And then what we do is we have you sign a limited power of attorney that lets us sign all the other documents that you might sign. Now remember, if you remember back when you bought your house, that stack of documents was like a foot high.
Those are the days.
When you sell your house, it's like an inch high, right? You get 10 things you got to sign and you get a big check. So we just have you give us the power to sign those documents for you. That way you don't have to go to the closing. It's way more convenient for you. Nobody needs to sit around a desk anymore. We'll just get it done, and then you'll get a check overnighted to you, and then once you get the check, everything's great, everybody's happy. But there's always a form or a piece of paper that kind of comes in at the last minute, 11th hour, something extra we need, and you've given us the authority. We just sign it for you. You'll see everything. You'll see everything we sign. Right. But you just don't have to worry about getting it signed. We're set up for it. We can scan stuff. We can email stuff. It's just way better.
So
much easier for you.
So 21st century.
So high tech. Yeah. You will need to provide to us basically a copy of all the outstanding loans that are on the property, because those have to get paid off at the closing.
Right, they're going to get
So if
closed
you
out
get a
first.
mortgage at Bank of America, give us the information. And again, same exact thing. These companies get 1 million requests to do payoff statements that basically tells us the number that you owe on the date of the closing. When we call them the day before and beg them to move us to the front of the line, they don't like it.
No.
It costs me all kinds of charm, and I really got to work hard to try to talk somebody into doing it. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, and it makes it a challenge. So part of your information packet is give us a list of all your outstanding loans, because we need to chase those down so that the closing attorney can have all of that ready, because they're going to pay all these things off. They don't give you a check and hope that you pay Bank of America off. They send the check or wire the money to Bank of America. We'll need to know some tax information. We're going to want to know what your Social Security number is so they can send you a form. Now, if it's your primary residence, for the most part,
no tax.
You're probably not going to have to pay any taxes on the transaction, but there still are tax forms that need to get filed.
Right.
You're going to get a 1099-S. We're going to want to know the Social Security number that we can do that. That is what we need to get taken care of. Now, the other thing that we're going to find out possibly...
And then what about paying the tax, right? So then there's...
Oh, great point. Yep.
So because there's going to be real estate tax, and then how is that settled out, and that's going to be determined, right? How you do that?
So, yeah, that's a good point. So the state of Massachusetts, in its infinite wisdom, takes $4.56 per $1,000 of a transaction. You sell your house for $500,000. It's 500, because it's $500,000, 500 times $4.56, whatever that number looks like. Mm-hmm. That is the state tax stamp number. That comes out of the proceeds. You'll see all of this on what we call a closing disclosure statement that shows you all the numbers related to your transaction. You don't have to reach into your pocket for that, but it does come off the top along with a whole bunch of other expenses, like the broker's fee, like some, you'll pay some things.
Some administrative costs.
Well, yeah,
it's the closing costs.
Well, you'll have already paid your property taxes, so you'll get some money back for the property. Remember, you want to give them a clean, bill of health, if you will, for the water bill, and you're going to get money back if you've paid taxes for times that you're not going to own the house. Once you sell the house, the tax obligation isn't yours. There's some math that's going to get done to figure out how much of what you already paid in taxes comes back to you. That's going to come back to you. So this is all going to get, you're going to get some documents from us that are going to say, here's what the numbers look like. And there's a number at the bottom. That's the number you get. That's your big check. And so you'll see the transaction. In addition to that, something might come up. This happens all the time, right? Back in the 80s, in the heyday when everybody was buying and financing and refinancing, a lot of people paid off mortgages and took out new mortgages, and a lot of these things didn't get disclosed or didn't get recorded at the registry. And so what comes up all the time in these things is, hey, John, you refinanced your house 10 years ago. When you paid off your old mortgage with your new mortgage, they never recorded that discharge at the registry.
Whoa.
And that's exactly what happened. So it doesn't mean you owe the money. It just means that we have to go chase down with the bank that you did the refinancing through where that discharge is. That's something that does not happen overnight. Yeah. So the sooner you can get us this information, and then the sooner we find out about it, we can make sure that if there's anything that needs to be addressed or taken care of, we can get it done. And it takes a little bit of time. This is one of those things that can make people nervous and slow the process up. And again, maybe there's a holdback for that amount. You'll eventually get it. People will release it as long as they know it's being chased down. We'll kind of work that out as part of the process. But that's something to keep in mind. Now, if you're in a condo or you're in some type of homeowners association where you're writing a check for maintenance and upkeep and whatever you're paying, same thing. Those people that are buying your house, right? They don't want to pay for those HOA services, all those condo fees for a time that they didn't own the property.
They're not paying it. They're not paying for a pool they didn't swim in.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to chase down what's called a 6D certificate, which is basically a piece of paper that says you've paid all your bills. Now, depending on the organization of your HOA or your condo association, that's either very easy to get, or you literally have to walk down to Larry in 302A, and he's the condo president, and
Right,
he's
your
got to
association
generate one of
president,
these
yeah.
things. That's right. That's
And
right.
knowing Larry, I mean, I don't know Larry, but I've met this guy
You
before,
know him. You've
right?
seen him around
yeah,
the pool.
yeah. He's retired,
Of course.
right? He's retired, and he's probably either an accountant or he's an attorney or he's a retired or maybe an insurance guy, but he's a guy who he knows his way around some paperwork. Yeah, and he
runs a pretty tight ship.
Yeah, and the meetings when the homeowners are meetings, I mean, there's no kibitz and there's no talking there's no sidebar conversation.
He likes the gavel. He likes to use a gavel. He likes to make some noise.
Yeah, it's got the name of whatever, it's like Paradise Island.
Call the meeting to order, please. Yeah. The meeting of the Pacific Palisades Condo Association will be called
Dolores, you're taking the minutes, right?
Dolores,
okay.
Secretary Dolores, note that we have a quorum, right? He runs a tight ship. He's a guy yelling at if your kids are in the pool at 10:01, they're supposed to be. He's
First
telling
thing
you.
is the treasury report.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Tell us how much money we have in the reserve fund, right?
$862,000 in our reserve, which we need, right?
Yep, that's right. That's what we need. So again, you're going to have to now again. Larry may be on vacation. Larry may be away. Larry may not like you. Larry may not.
Larry, that's just it. Larry may be like, yeah, sure, I'll see
do
if
it
I can.
when I get around to it.
Right?
I don't see the urgency.
Yeah,
that's right. So if you've challenged Larry's fiefdom at some point in the past, Larry may not be moving pretty quick on this, right? I'll get to it when I get to it.
Larry's like, I knew this day would come, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna wait you out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait you out.
Gave Larry hard. You stood up and interrupted him during the meeting one
time.
Like
it.
Oh,
he gavelled you down. He gavelled you down. That's right. That's right.
You need something from me now.
That's right. That's right. So that's what's going to happen, right? So you're gonna. That's
Larry.
all. So you're going to provide all of this to us over the course of stressful, chaotic 60 days, and then we're going to get to the closing. And again, a lot of this stuff comes together at the last minute. The bank who is financing this deal, they drive the bus. Okay, we take all of our directions from them because we can't close until the bank's attorney, the person who's coordinating this whole deal, he's getting the money, right? The money to pay off your mortgage, the money to pay off your tax stamps, the money to pay you. He's getting that from the bank. The bank is going to send him $782,000, of which he's going to pay off a bunch of mortgages and pay off a bunch of bills and write you a check. And he's not going to do that until he gets his money and all of this paperwork is lined up, because this transaction has to go smoothly because he's the one that's on the hook for it. So we really have to take all of our direction from them. Some people have it down to a science. Some people really know how to work the whole thing. Some people, it's a little more herky-jerky just because of the way the whole arrangement comes together. But they're going to we're taking our direction from them. What time are we closing? I don't know. Let's talk to the bank. He might have 7 or 8 closings lined up that day. We got to figure that out. So that's why we do this POA thing. It makes your life much easier. You don't have to go anywhere. We'll take care of it. But this is what you just need to be prepared for. It doesn't have that military-like precision to it. It's a little bit more catch as catch can, right? Sometimes they don't get their documentation from the bank until the day of the closing. Sometimes they get it a couple of days in advance. Depends on the bank, depends on who's processing this thing, who's on vacation, who's not on vacation. So it gets a little weird. So we try to manage that whole thing.
You think about it, right? There's so many moving parts to this, right?
Yeah.
There's so many moving parts. So if you can kind of just alleviate a couple of those, and like you said, by this limited power of attorney, what that does, because remember, for everybody who's bought property and gone to the closing, that's a big deal. Like, that's a big event for the purchasers. That's that foot high stack of paperwork that has to go through. So that's where all that time is. So again, to get to that point, if you as the seller, if you can get all that squared away and do everything that you can in your in your world and your capability to be able to get that, then that's going to make that that closing again, because who knows what time the closing is going to happen?
Right.
Who knows if it's going to even happen that day? And like Jay said, everything's driven by the money, right? And if the money doesn't get there, then there's no closing. No one's signing anything. No one's gonna buy a house unless the bank's paying for it, right?
Right. That's right. If something happens, God forbid something happens. Again, there's some workarounds. There's some holdback. They can hold on to some money until some things get finalized. If the closing looks like it's not going to happen on a Tuesday, but somebody needs to move in, there's some agreements that we can sign that let somebody move in and they own the obligation and the risk to take care of the place until the closing can happen the next day. Remember, the registries are busy, the lawyers are busy, everybody's trying to run around and make the deal happen, and it looks, it looks a little bit discoordinated. But again, there is a method to the madness. Just there's so many people that have to be part of the transaction that it just doesn't always happen. At the end of the day, what will hopefully happen is it will go smoothly, and you'll get a big check. Maybe you get a wire. Maybe they send the money to your bank. That's up to you. We kind of worked that out at the time.
They don't do like the big bags with dollar signs on them anymore.
They don't bring cash anymore. There's no more cash. It's going to be a big check, and the check comes when it comes. They overnight it to you. It all works out fine. Yes, it's stressful, but rest assured, if we can follow on your homework item that we give you and call us with questions and get things done in a timely manner, it will make everything easier for you and your loved ones.
It goes to show you that, again, for all of you, everybody who's been to school, what does everybody say? Do your homework. So you kids out there, you kids watching, you do your homework. Turn around and tell your parents if they're selling their house, tell them to do their homework. You do your homework, and then you're going to get good grades, and everybody's going to be happy, right?
Yeah. If you want a copy of our list, call the office. We'll give it to you.
All right.
Once you sign us up and retain us as your attorney.
Well, there's that technicality. All right. And on that note,
have a great week, everybody.
Some great information from Jay today on real estate transactions. Now, we're not saying just go out and sell your house. We're not saying if you do, but if you do, make sure that you take all the right steps, and it'll make the process much smoother.
And most attorneys have one of these. It makes your life much, much easier. So just check the list, follow the instructions, and you're good to go.
There you go. All right. We'll see everybody next week on Money in the Law. Make sure you have a great week. Make sure you have a great day today. Work hard today. Everybody, have a good time.
Saturday.
Enjoy the end of it. Enjoy the
end of it.
the last bastions of summer. All right. We'll see everybody next week.
Have a good one, everybody.